Hey guys, how you doing? I know that things are looking a little grim out there in the market. Who knows if that's going to continue, but I mean, I am one of the people that has been sort of on the side of like, this is trending in the wrong direction. And the main reason I have always said it's trending in the wrong direction is because of wealth inequality, because of, monopolies, because of giant corporations, and because giant corporations are avoiding tax and paying less tax than, their counterparts of small, medium-sized businesses, which I just don't really think is fair if you want to have, a free and fair market capitalism or whatever you want, whatever system that seems to work best. The whole point of the free market was to be able to enable small businesses to actually start to compete with these larger corporations. However, it seems like it's more and more difficult for the average person to, even get close to something anymore. So I want to go back to one headline that I found in 2021, and this should have been all over the news as far as I was concerned, and I only found one thing on it, and I just want to read it to you guys. And it is about corporate tax avoidance in Canada. So this is way worse in the United States, but let's talk about this particular article and let's just sort of compare. And it's not even the article, it's just the headline. All right. In 2021, Canada's largest corporations avoided 30 billion in taxes. That's what the report found. So generally speaking, the statutory tax rate for Canadian corporations is 26.5%. That's like the average tax rate that they're supposed to be paying, even though their tax bracket on income or profit over 500,000 is actually supposed to be 38%. So it's already, 11 or whatever, 0.5% lower than that before they started avoiding taxes. So they avoided taxes so much, the top 123 companies in the country, that their effective tax rate was just 15%, which that means it's 23% lower than what it was supposed to be. And so realistically, in my personal opinion, the only way that we're ever going to get out of this is you ever start hearing about the idea of these giant corporations in Canada starting to pay their fair share in taxes. They're the only ones with money, and we are their majority of their consumers. They're just taking it from us and keeping it, and then the top investors, which isn't you, are getting really handsomely paid out in dividends. So I guarantee you're paying more in bank fees than you're earning in dividends on the shares. I guarantee you're paying more to the utility companies than you're earning in dividends on the shares that you own. And if you're not, consider yourself very lucky. That is awesome. Good for you. I am not joking. Good for you. That is great. But the majority of Canadians are paying into these monopolies that only us use, and they're avoiding taxes, and that is costing us. As far as I see it, it is as simple as that. And underneath here is just a graph of what the average or effective tax rate of these corporations was from about 1980 up until 2021. And this is before the avoidance, right? So it started, this is just over 50% in 1980. It was a big drop. That would have probably been the Reagan era right in there with the trickle-down economics that worked so well, and then just slowly dropping down after 2000. And if you think that the world has become economically easier since the year 2000, then I would stop thinking about this video. But if you think that this is potentially problematic, then that's the kind of stuff that I'm going to talk about along with financial planning for Canadians. But I also want to talk about big picture financial planning for Canada and how we can potentially fight back so that we can get a really strong middle class, lower homelessness, lower crime, lower wealth inequality, all of those things. And the only way to do it is to actually start asking the people that have the most to give some of our money back to us, because it is our money that they have. That's it, right? We're their consumers and they are taking the money from us. So I'm just going to leave with this. I want you to think about one more thing with this as a consideration. So any company in Canada that makes over $500,000 in profit is supposed to pay 38% corporate tax rate on their money, right? So this is probably just the 26.5 federal tax. However, there is provincial tax based on where you're doing your business. So they've reduced that by 11.5%. I highly doubt that somebody that makes $1 million a year, owns a small business, has a profit of $1 million, is finding a way to reduce their taxes to 15% rather than 38%. So if I'm of the camp that if you're a small, medium-sized business, you should be paying way lower taxes than the banks, the utility companies, the pharmaceutical companies, the oil and gas companies. And let me get something straight here with the oil and gas companies, or our companies that actually produce a profit for us as a country. Because the banks do not, they just make a profit off of us. But the oil and gas companies, on the other hand, are a resource that we get to sell at a profit. So I can understand why you would want companies that, you know, are making money for us to have lower tax rates so that they can reinvest more into infrastructure and things allowing us to get our product to market. However, the companies that we have, that we need, that are part of our daily life, they're just not paying enough tax, and this is causing real issues for us as a country as far as I'm concerned. And I think that's sort of the biggest thing that's going on. I think that this should be bigger news every single day. I think we should be talking about this way more often. So if you agree with me, then this is the kind of channel that you might be wanting to watch. So if you do, please like and subscribe. If you absolutely hate me, I really don't like the negativity in the comments, you can say your piece, but I'm just not going to respond. And thank you very much for watching. We'll see you guys again soon. Cheers.